Welcome back to the channel, guys. So this is the final video of the series that we are doing. Thank you so much for all your support so far, and I hope the previous videos actually made sense and you found it useful. If you've not checked it out, there's a link up there, the complete playlist with all the videos, and do let me know what you feel about the videos. This video being the final video, and it's a very small topic, so I'm going to make it into a Q&A format. That is, I'm posting the question myself and answering it. So let's take it one step at a time. And yes, if you actually see the entire video, we have not done video 7, which was modulation and the basics of the modulation pedals and other things. I'm going to cover that in this video itself. To put it very simply, impulse responses are nothing but a sonic footprint of a particular speaker in a particular room in response to a guitar amplifier. In response to any input is the right answer, but for our purposes and from a beginner perspective, impulse response is a sonic representation of a particular guitar cabinet or a speaker and the room in which it's recorded in, with a particular mic at a particular position. Most of the processors come with a cabinet simulator, and the problem with that cabinet simulator is it sounds good, but when you're playing it live or you're playing it in your room, it gives you a particular sound, but when you record it, it sounds way too direct. Whereas an impulse response is supposed to emulate that sound in any format, a realistic sound of the air moving, and that's what we as guitarists chase, right? So the impulse responses are expected to give you a better result when it comes to your playing or recording or whatever that you're doing. And that's the reason we actually look at impulse responses. Second part of the question: are impulse responses always better than inbuilt cabinet simulators? The answer is no. Not all impulse responses are created equal, and not all impulse responses sound the same in no different situations. So if you look at my own personal collection, I would have more than 3,000, 4,000 impulse responses with me, out of which maybe I would be using 15, 20 of them actively. The others are experiments and something which has been accumulated over a period of time, and maybe in a reamping situation I'll put them to see whether it sounds good or not. But when it comes to my own unit, which is maybe an HX Stomp, I have around 15-20 impulse responses loaded. So you have to be picky and choosy about it. There are impulse response loaders available. Sometimes they're part of the hardware, like the HX Stomp or a Helix or Axe FX or a Headrush or whatever the unit may be. All the new modern units, to be more precise, actually come with the IR loader inbuilt. The older units, you can't. At the same time, if you're using amp simulators, there are impulse response loaders which are available for free, which you can use. The one which I use actively, or the free resource when it comes to an amp simulator scenario, is Pulse. I will leave a link of that in the description. You can check it out. Number one, try various impulse responses. Choose the one which fits the situation. Number two, before you use that particular impulse response, switch off all the reverbs and the modulations and everything. Get the sound right, especially the reverb, because in many scenarios the reverb is included in the impulse response itself. It's a part of the sonic imprint. So do not double up your reverb, because it's going to make it sound very in the well kind of a sound. So be careful about that. So that's basically impulse responses. These questions are coming from the previous videos. If you're not seeing them, please do. The answer is yes, you can. Again, it's as this is a Q&A video. Some pedals sound exactly the same as compared to when you're using with an amp or a tube amp or whatever. Some don't. Rule of thumb: stick to drive pedals, with amp simulators or in front of a processor. And I'm talking more specifically about amp simulators because drive pedals tend to perform better as compared to other pedals. And as it is, if you're using an amp simulator, chances are bright that better modulation and better delay controls or better reverb controls are available in your DAW itself. So pedals, stick to drive pedals, start off with drive pedals. It's not that the other pedals do not work. Your time based and modulation, I would not put it, because obviously when you're using an amp simulator, you do not have a send return. So you're putting everything in front of your amp. So I would avoid it. Or rather, this is part 7 basically. There are certain rule of thumb when it comes to modulations. Tempo. Whenever you're using your delay pedal or it might be even your modulation pedal like a Univibe, make sure that it has a tap control where you're actually punching in the tempo at which you're going to play it. I've seen many beginners do that mistake where their delay or their any other effect, time-based effect that they are using, are actually not set, and it sounds, despite of they playing very nicely, it doesn't sound that good. So that is one thing about the modulation effect. The second most important thing about the modulations, time-based, special effects for that matter, go easy on it. Many a times we as guitarists we go overboard on those effects. It's not required, especially, I mean, yes, if I'm playing a David Gilmour solo, obviously I'll put in tons of delay on it because that's how that solo is supposed to sound, and that's how David Gilmour designed it. But at the same time, if I'm playing something like a Jimmy Page, I would not put in so much of delay. And at the same time, if I'm putting in so much of delay or any effects on any of my solos, which is a David Gilmour solo, I need to be careful about which delay at what time, how many ms, how many milliseconds rather, and at what tempo. Be aware of that. So that's the take on the modulation. And this was a very simple video, just to wrap up things that we have done so far. And thank you so much for your patience. And I look forward starting a new series soon on the guitars itself, the pickups, the various classification for a beginner. So let's see how that goes. We'll plan it out. Thank you.